Hello, and thank you for visiting Heart of Calm. Maybe today, you're looking for something small. A moment of quiet, a bit of peace, or simply a space that asks nothing of you. If so, I believe this video is for you. I want to share something simple. Something that once quietly held me, on days that felt especially silent. A blank page. And a pen. No one needed to know. No one was going to read it. No one expected me to write anything wise, beautiful, or whole. It was just me, writing. Not to fix anything, but to gently hold a piece of myself. On days when I felt like I was quietly dissolving into everything I was supposed to do or be. Maybe you've had days like that too. So if you're here, I simply want to invite you to sit with me, gently. And maybe, through the next few minutes, you'll feel something in your heart soften too. As if someone was writing beside you, quietly, without needing to explain a thing. There are days when you know you're feeling sad, but you don't know exactly why. And sometimes, you know exactly why, but still, you can't bring yourself to say it out loud. Not because you don't trust anyone, but because you're tired. You don't want to explain. You don't want to hold yourself together just to tell the story. And maybe, deep down, you already know. Even if you said it, no one could fully understand. Then one quiet moment. You sit down and write a few lines. No order. No logic. Just to release the things tangled inside. A short sentence. A repeated word. An unfinished thought. And yet, somehow, you feel lighter. Because writing doesn't ask you to be clear. It only asks you to be true. When you can't say it, but still want to understand what's going on inside, writing becomes the gentlest way to begin. Many people hesitate to start journaling because they think they have to write well. The grammar should be right. The words should sound beautiful. The message should be deep, meaningful, worth keeping. But truthfully, writing to heal isn't the same as writing to impress. Writing for yourself is an entirely different world. You can begin with the simplest sentence. I feel tired today. And that's it. That's enough. Another day, maybe you'll only write a short list. Cold coffee, gray sky, heavy heart. That's enough too. No one's grading you. No one's watching. No one's waiting for your words to be wise. You don't have to name the emotion perfectly. You just need to be honest. And often, honesty is the most beautiful language of all. Sometimes, you write without needing anyone to understand. Not even yourself. Just a few messy scribbles. A sentence with no end. A word repeated 3 times. But later, when you look back, you might quietly realize, oh, I was letting something go. A feeling that once sat heavy inside you found its way out through words you didn't even try to shape. Writing becomes your way of saying to yourself, I don't have to be remarkable. I just have to be here, exactly as I am. When we're younger, we write to remember. To keep track of to-do lists, goals, conversations, the people we met, the things we wanted to hold on to. But as we grow older, writing no longer serves as a record. It becomes a way to hold on to something much quieter. A part of ourselves. Or in other words, we write so we can forget, without having to worry about what gets left behind. After 50, you may notice The world isn't as loud on the outside anymore. But somehow it grows louder inside. You're still working, still caring for your family, still smiling through each day. But somewhere within, there are quiet gaps with no clear name. Not quite regret. Maybe just a kind of soft, unspoken ache. And then writing becomes a small bridge. Not loud, not grand, but just enough to reconnect what you're living with what you've quietly lost. Writing helps you realize there are still things you haven't said to yourself, emotions that were never fully heard, and small longings still waiting to be acknowledged. Writing doesn't change everything, but it might quietly change you in a way that's subtle but deeply real. When your heart feels tangled, your first instinct might be to find a solution. You want clarity. You want the heaviness to end. But some emotions don't need to be solved. They just need to be seen, to be acknowledged, and to be released in the gentlest way possible. Journaling isn't about analyzing your life. It's not about turning every problem into a strategy. Writing is about letting it all out. You pour your confusion onto the page, not to dissect it piece by piece, but to breathe a little easier. Like a long, quiet exhale that doesn't need to be understood by anyone else. Writing helps you stay with your emotions without drowning in them. Like walking into a room filled with dust, and instead of trying to clean it all at once, you simply open a window. Light will find its way in. The wind will carry some of the weight away. And there's one thing I gently want to say. When you pick up your pen, don't try too hard. Let your hand move freely. Don't plan. Don't edit. Don't hold back. Write whatever appears in your mind. Messy, strange, incomplete. Let it all out, piece by piece. And then, quietly, you might realize your mind has started to feel like your own again. Writing won't change you in a day. But if you write a little, every day, something inside you will begin to shift. Gently, quietly, but truthfully. At first, your pages may look the same. Nothing special. I'm still tired. I don't know why I feel empty. But then, after a few days, you start to notice something different. You begin to name your emotions more clearly. A certain thought keeps returning. Not because you're forcing it, but because it's been waiting to be seen. A past memory. An unspoken desire. A wound you thought had already healed. Writing regularly isn't about building another good habit, like drinking more water or doing more exercise. Writing regularly is how you begin to return to the voice inside you, the one you used to hear so clearly, but slowly left behind in the noise of everyday life. Writing daily becomes your way of saying, I'm still here. I still feel. I still deserve to be heard, even if no one else is listening. Some days, you write 3 lines. Other days, 3 pages. And sometimes, just 1 sentence, and then you stop. All of it is okay. Because writing is not an assignment. It doesn't have to be complete. It doesn't have to be organized. It doesn't need to lead to some profound realization. Maybe you write 1 sentence, then trail off. 1 word, then cross it out. A whole paragraph you never read again. But the power of writing isn't in how much you say, or whether it makes sense. It's in the simple act of being there, with yourself. Writing is like speaking with a close friend. Sometimes it's just scattered words, but it's the presence. the honest being with. That brings comfort. Don't wait until you have the perfect sentence to begin. And don't push yourself to write the right amount. You just need to be honest with where you are in that moment. And sometimes, that alone can soften the edges of an entire day. I remember a time, a few years ago, when I quietly wrote a few lines every night, in a small notebook no one in my family knew about. I didn't write anything special, just scattered sentences. I snapped at my child today. My husband looked tired but didn't say anything. I feel guilty and lonely. And day after day, the same words kept coming back. I feel lonely. I feel tired. I feel like I'm slowly disappearing. I wasn't trying to find answers. I just wrote, honestly. And often, I cried as I did. But strangely, after a few weeks, I went back and read those pages. And I didn't feel as heavy anymore. Instead, it felt like I was reading a letter from someone I used to know. Someone who had once been in pain, but was quietly finding her way back. One line stopped me in my tracks. No one sees me, but I cannot disappear. And in that moment, I knew I had already started returning to myself. Writing didn't change my life, but it helped me hold on to something important. Connection. To my feelings. To the part of me I had slowly forgotten. And maybe you'll have a page like that too. It doesn't need to be beautiful. It just needs to be honest. So that someday, when you look back, you might smile softly and whisper, "Thank you for not giving up on me." If there's something sitting quietly in your heart right now, try writing it down, just for you. No one will read it. No one will judge. It's just a moment for you to hear yourself again. And if you'd like, leave a few words in the comments below. They don't need to be perfect. They don't need to be okay. Just let them be real. Heart of Calm will be here, listening gently and never in a rush. There are days when you give so much of yourself to others that by the end of the day, you're not even sure who you are anymore. You can't remember the last time you truly felt something just for you. You still smile. You still cook, go to work, check on your children. But inside, you're quiet. Not because you don't love others, but because somewhere in that love, you've slowly drifted away from yourself. And writing is the quiet reminder. I'm still here. You don't have to do anything grand. Just write a single line to hold on to a feeling you haven't named yet. Write a question to notice what you're hiding today. Write a gentle encouragement, the kind you often offer to others. But this time, offer it to yourself. There are things you can't say to anyone else, but you can say them to yourself through writing. And that might be the most honest kind of presence. Hearing yourself before anyone else even asks how you're doing. The page doesn't give answers, but it holds a place for you when you're lost in expectations, roles, and silences no one else sees. If you've stayed with me until now, thank you, not for listening to a lesson, but for allowing this space to be a quiet return to yourself. Journaling isn't a skill. It's not an ideal habit. And it's definitely not another task on your list. Writing is simply this: holding on to a true part of yourself on the days when you feel a little lost inside your own life. You don't need to journal every day. You don't have to write anything profound. Just know that when your mind starts to drift, there's always a place you can return to, a blank page, and your own quiet heart. And if today you begin again with just one awkward, imperfect line, I want to say this to you. You've already done something incredibly brave. You are returning to yourself. With kindness, with gentleness, and with a love that doesn't need to be perfect. Heart of Calm will always be here. Whenever you need a soft place to breathe, a steady place to land, or just a gentle whisper that says, "You're not alone."